Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bro Bros. In this episode, we're going to change the AC compressor on a Corvette 06. It's a CS6, and let's get started. So normally you can remove it by removing the subframe, but we're going to do it by removing the exhaust.
First, we'll start off by lifting the car and putting it on jacks.
So there's two jack points. There's going to be one under the door right here and one under this fender right there. And I put a jack stand at one of the jack points and the other one under the subframe. And I put a rhino ramp just for safety measures.
We'll start by removing the oil cap and the cover. This cover is easily removed and you can pull it right off.
Alright, now that we lifted up the car, we're going to go ahead and start the removal of the exhaust.
First, we will start off by removing the passenger side downpipe. We'll be removing this bolt right here and this one up here. They are both 15 millimeters. We will follow up by removing the top two bolts connecting the downpipe to the exhaust manifold. Those are also 15 millimeters. These are the two bolts you will be removing, and there will be a gasket in between them, so make sure you don't lose that.
So you'll need to push this part back on the exhaust so you can take the downpipe off. And don't forget your O2 sensor. I'll just be unplugging the O2 sensor. And there is the downpipe. Now we just got to work on removing the exhaust. And then you can see we'll have all this room to remove the AC compressor. Alright, we're going to go up to the top now.
Up next, I'll be taking off the serpentine belt using a 15 millimeter. I'll be using one hand for the wrench and the other one I'll be sticking in through here to take off the serpentine belt itself.
So for the exhaust manifold, it'll be a 13 millimeter.
Up next, on the passenger side, we're going to disconnect all four wires connecting from the coil pack to the spark plug, and we're going to remove the connector connecting the O2 sensor. Unfortunately, I forgot to hit record, so what I did is I removed the bolt that connects the bracket to the motor. Then I proceeded to remove the exhaust manifold bolts, 13 millimeters, and this specific pattern here. And you want to do this so you don't warp the block or anything else. Here is the exhaust manifold, and these are the 6 bolts that you'll have to remove. They're still 13 millimeters.
Now we can get started with the AC compressor removal, which is right there.
Up next, we'll be removing the AC compressor. We have a bolt here, another one here, and we have 2 at the bottom that I'll show you in a diagram. We have 3 bolts here. These are 15 millimeters, and we have 1 nut that is 15 millimeters as well. And the little stud will come out as well, and that is 7 millimeters. We'll first start off by removing the 15 millimeter nut. We are now at the bottom of the vehicle, removing the bottom 2 bolts. As you can see, it's these 2. And you'll also want to remove this clip. The clip goes into this little hole right here. Just get some pliers and remove it, and it should come right out. Now we'll be removing the 2 bolts, and a good access point is right above the lower control arm behind the wheel. You'll have a little section right here, as you see. I'll be using a 15mm deep socket and an extension, and it'll come right out. Do the same thing for the other bolt at the bottom. Now we'll be finishing removing the top bolts. And once again, the smaller stud is going to be 7mm. Now you'll notice that the top bolt won't be able to come out all the way. You'll have to force a flanged bolt over that AC line. So unfortunately my phone died, so I didn't get to record some of the portions, but what I did so far was I removed the AC line from the connector. That's a 10mm. Also removed these two 10mm bolts and guided the AC line under the bracket. Up next, I removed this AC line. There was this clip on it connecting these two together. I just used a screwdriver and it came right off. What I did next was move around the AC compressor until I could get out the stud that we talked about and the bolt that connects the fitting to the AC compressor. Now, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and remove the wire that connects to the AC compressor. And once you've removed all the wires, connectors, and bolts from the compressor, it should come out as easy as this. Out with the old, in with the new. And we're going to leave that there for now. Next, you'll want to install brand new AC seal washers. Don't forget to lubricate these as well. You will only need 3 of these washers. The only 2 O-rings you'll need are going to go on the low side, and make sure you lubricate them with oil first to ensure an airtight seal. Now we will be reinstalling the high and low side hoses onto the AC compressor. Then you want to go ahead and put in your bolt. We went ahead and reinserted the bolt, and now we're going to go ahead and reinsert the stud. Now we'll be mounting the actual bolt into the block. Torque this down to 80 inch-pounds. Hey guys, so unfortunately my phone died and it was overheating due to the sun. It was 87 degrees today. But I went ahead and reinstalled the bolts and the nut. Torque down the bolts first to 30 foot-pounds and then torque down the nut to 30 foot-pounds as well. Another thing I forgot to mention is before you reinstall your new AC compressor, make sure you drain your old oil and reinsert the same amount of new oil into your new compressor through the drain plug. My phone died again, but we went ahead and mounted the exhaust manifold, and we're going to torque down every one of these bolts to 11 foot-pounds at first.
So there is a pattern. We're going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the second pass, you want to do that same pattern, but you want to do 18 foot-pounds.
Now is a good time to reinstall your bolt on your bracket for the dipstick. I could not find the torque spec on this, so tighten to what feels right. I wouldn't go past 20 foot-pounds. Then we'll proceed to reconnect the O2 sensor. Now grab your downpipe gasket because we'll be reinstalling the downpipe next. When I took off the nuts for the downpipe, the studs came off with it too. Just reinstall those to 30 foot-pounds. Next, we'll be bolting up the bottom part of the downpipe, and you'll want to tighten these nuts to 30 foot-pounds as well. Last but not least, don't forget to plug in your O2 sensor on the downpipe. Finally, we'll be reapplying the serpentine belt that goes on the AC compressor. I would recommend using 2 15mm wrenches, that way you could leave one on the tensioner pulley. That way it doesn't go far up. It will make reinstallation much easier. Now we can bring the car back down. We went ahead and reinstalled the plug wires, and now we're going to go ahead and install this side of the engine cover. And as you can see, you will have to remove the oil cap, that way you could get the cover on. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over this part because I already have a little short video on showing you how to refill your AC system. But one thing I do want to mention is if you see your gauge go back up after letting your vacuum out the air, then that means you have a leak somewhere still. In this case, after stopping the vacuum pump, our gauge is not going up, so we will continue to fill the AC system with refrigerant. You will need a total of 17.1 ounces of Freon. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn my microphone on, but make sure to like, comment, subscribe for the algorithm. Follow us on our other platforms for more content. We also have a Discord available to build a community where we help each other, and don't forget to grab some merch.